Three things arrived in Cedar Falls on November 12, 1876. The blizzard that would bury 11 souls before spring. The judge's order forcing Marjorie Coldwell to marry a stranger by sundown or face debtor's prison. And me, the man they called the Ghost of Granite Ridge. By April, only one of those three things would still be standing. Wasn't the one anybody expected? I can still hear that courthouse. The way frozen breath hung in the air like the words none of us wanted to say. The way Judge Harrison's gavel struck wood, each crack another nail in someone's coffin, mine most likely. The way Marge's hands trembled when she looked at the three of us seated there. Cornelius Blackwood with his gold teeth and dead wives, Harold Pemberton with his twitching fingers and bruised servants, and me, mountain man, widower, ghost. Choose before the storm hits, Miss Coldwell, the judge said. Wind was already rattling those courthouse windows like bones in a box. Marriage or prison? At winter don't wait for sentiment. She looked at me, storm gray eyes meeting mine. I'll take the mountain man. That's when Oswin Blackthorne stepped through those doors, snow swirling around his expensive coat, and smiled like the devil counting coins. Cedar Falls, Colorado territory. Population 340 in summer, maybe 180 come winter when folks with sense headed down valley. The courthouse doubled as church on Sundays, courtroom on Mondays. That November day, it was a slave market dressed up legal. I hadn't planned on being there. Was in town for supplies, salt pork, lamp oil, ammunition. Winter was coming hard and early. Way the geese flew south in October told me that much. But then I heard the commotion coming from the courthouse steps, and something made me stop. Crowd gathered thick as flies on a carcass. Men in work clothes, women in Sunday best despite it being Thursday, children weaving between legs trying to see. All of them watching one woman stand alone before Judge Harrison's bench, Marjorie Coldwell. I knew the name, everyone did. Her father, Josiah, drank himself to death 3 months back, left her nothing but debts and shame. Town had been whispering about what would happen to her ever since. Now I knew. The law is clear, Miss Coldwell. Judge Harrison's voice carried that special kind of tired that comes from making impossible decisions. Your father's gambling debts, $3,200, transfer to you as sole heir. 3 men have agreed to assume financial responsibility in exchange for marriage. You will choose one by sundown or remand yourself to territorial prison in Denver. She stood there in a dress that had been mended so many times, the original fabric was more memory than cloth. Tall for a woman, maybe 28, with hands that looked like they'd done honest work. But it was her eyes that caught me, the way they didn't apologize for existing. Cornelius Blackwood sat to my left, silk vest straining over his considerable belly. He'd buried 3 wives already, each one leaving him richer. The way he looked at Marge made my stomach turn, like she was livestock he was evaluating for breeding. Harold Pemberton sat to my right, thin as a whip and twice as mean. Ran the territorial bank, had a reputation for being particular about how his housekeeper folded his shirts. I'd seen the bruises on that poor woman's arms, and then there was me. Hadn't wanted to be part of this circus, but Judge Harrison pulled me aside yesterday, said he needed a third option. She deserves at least one choice that won't kill her, Silas. You're the only decent man I know who'd do right by her. I should have said no. Blackwood leaned forward, his voice carrying across the courthouse. Miss Coldwell, I can offer you comfort, a house in town, servants, respectability. Pause. And I can be very forgiving of a wife's mistakes. As long as she learns obedience, Pemberton cleared his throat. I require efficiency in a household, meals at precise times, children, 3 at minimum, silence unless addressed. His fingers twitched like he was already counting the cost of keeping her. You appear sturdy enough for the work. Every word made me want to stand up and walk out, or knock their teeth in, wasn't sure which. Judge Harrison looked at me. Mr. Granger? What was I supposed to say? That my cabin was 4 hours into mountains that would kill her if she didn't learn fast? That I still talk to my dead wife some nights? That the last time I tried to save someone, I buried her and our baby in ground so frozen I had to build fires just to dig? Ain't an easy life up there, I said finally. And I ain't an easy man to live with. Winter's coming hard, but I met Marge's eyes. You'd have choice, respect. Won't ever raise a hand to you in anger. Silence fell like snow. Marge straightened her shoulders, looked at each of us in turn. When she spoke, her voice didn't shake. Mr. Granger. The courthouse exploded in whispers. Blackwood laughed, sharp and cruel. Girl's got a death wish. Ghost'll have her scalped by spring. That's when the doors burst open. Snow poured in like judgment itself. And Oswin Blackthorne stepped through, 2 armed men flanking him, looking at me with eyes that promised violence. Morrison, he said, using my war name. Heard you're getting married. How touching. He smiled. I'm sure we'll have lots to discuss come spring. About property boundaries, mineral rights. What happens to widows when their husbands have accidents? Sheriff Coogan stepped forward. Oswin, this ain't the time. Blackthorne ignored him, still looking at me. See you in April, Ghost. He tipped his hat to Marge. Ma'am, my condolences on your upcoming loss. Then he was gone, leaving nothing but snow and threat hanging in the air. Judge Harrison's gavel struck. Silas Morrison Granger, Marjorie Ann Coldwell, you'll wed within the hour. Storm's not waiting and neither am I. I stood, offered Marge my arm. She took it. Her hand was shaking, but her grip was iron. You sure about this? I whispered. She looked up at me. Sure as I am about anything, which is to say, not at all. But I reckon dying free on a mountain beats living in chains anywhere else. Fair enough. We were married in 10 minutes flat. No kiss, no celebration, just signatures and the sound of wind trying to tear the roof off. As we left, Mrs. Harrison pressed dried lavender into Marge's hand. For luck, dear. We were going to need more than luck. We were going to need a miracle. The journey up the mountain took 4 hours that felt like 4 years. First hour, the snow was gentle, big flakes drifting lazy through the pines. Marge sat stiff beside me on the wagon seat, hands folded in her lap like she was sitting for a portrait. And we didn't talk. What was there to say? Second hour, the wind picked up. Temperature dropped fast enough I could feel it in my bones. I stopped the wagon, pulled out a bearskin I kept for emergencies. You'll freeze if we don't share warmth, I said. Wasn't asking permission, was stating fact. Ain't about romance. It's survival. She nodded. Let me wrap us both. I could feel her trembling against my chest, though whether from cold or fear, I couldn't say. Her heart beat like a rabbit's. I can feel your heartbeat, she whispered. Means I'm still alive. That's something. Third hour, the world turned white. Couldn't see 10 feet ahead. Had to trust my horses knew the way home, because I sure as hell couldn't see it. Marge's trembling got worse. I held her tighter. Almost there, I lied. We had another hour at least, but she didn't call me on it. Just pressed closer and said, Tell me about your cabin. So I did. Told her about the stone fireplace I'd built with my own hands, each rock carried from the creek bed, the windows that faced east to catch sunrise, the root cellar that kept vegetables fresh through winter, the workshop where I carved furniture on nights when sleep wouldn't come. Didn't tell her about Mary, didn't tell her about the cradle gathering dust in the corner, or the shawl still hanging by the door, or the way some nights I still set 2 plates out of habit. Some ghosts you kept to yourself. Fourth hour, the cabin appeared through the snow like a miracle. Lamplight in the windows. I'd left them burning, hoping I'd make it back before they died. Smoke from the chimney. It looked warm, safe, like a lie winter was telling. It's beautiful, Marge breathed. I helped her down from the wagon, took her inside while the horses waited. Would tend them after I got her warm. Priorities. The cabin hit her all at once. The heat from the banked fire, the smell of wood smoke and coffee, the quiet that comes from being truly alone. She stood in the middle of the room, turning slow, taking it all in. That's when she saw it. The table set for 2. Mary's place still there after 10 years. Cup, plate, fork, laid out like she might walk through the door any moment. I'll clear it, I said quick. Habit, didn't think. Don't. Marge's voice was soft. Please, it's nice, knowing someone was loved here. I showed her around while the cabin warmed, the bedroom downstairs. It's yours. I sleep in the loft. Won't bother you. The kitchen with its cast-iron stove. The pantry stocked for winter. The door to the outhouse. 30 feet that direction. Follow the rope so you don't get lost in a storm. Last, I pulled out a pair of wool socks. Thick, hand-knit. Mary's work, though I didn't say so. First rule of mountain living, I said. Warm feet, clear head. Cold feet, dead by morning. She took them. Our fingers touched. Both of us pulled back like we'd been burned. I made coffee while she changed into dry clothes in her room. Made it too strong. Forgot how to brew for people who weren't half frozen and desperate. When she came back out, she'd braided her hair, washed her face, looked younger, more scared. I don't know how to do this, she said quietly. Be a mountain wife. Survive up here. Then I'll teach you. Same way someone taught me. We sat at that table, the one still set for 2 ghosts, and drank bad coffee in silence. Outside, the wind screamed. Inside, the fire crackled. Between us, the space of everything unsaid. That's when I saw it. Shadow moving past the window. Too big for an animal. Too deliberate for wind-blown branches. I grabbed my rifle, moved to the door. Don't move, I whispered to Marge. Don't make a sound. We waited in darkness, her breath loud in her ears. Mine steady from practice. Minutes crawled past like hours. Finally, a wolf howl, distant, natural. I lowered the rifle. Just a wolf, this time. But we both saw the paper that had been slipped under the door while we waited. Marge picked it up with shaking hands, read it aloud. Widow-to-be, enjoy your winter. It's your last. O.B. She looked at me, face white. Oswin Blackthorn. He's 4 hours away in town, I said. Can't reach us now. Snow's too deep. But he has men. Men who don't know these mountains like I do. Still, we both knew what that note meant. Winter wouldn't protect us forever. Spring would come. And when it did, Blackthorn would too. I took the note, fed it to the fire, watched it burn. Get some sleep, I said. Tomorrow I teach you how to survive up here. Because come April, we're going to need every skill we got. She nodded, went to her room. I heard the door close, the lock turn. Couldn't blame her for that. I climbed to the loft, lay in my bed, stared at the ceiling, could hear her moving below, pacing, finally settling, her breath evening out into sleep. Mary, I whispered to the darkness, I brought another woman into your house. Hope that's all right. Hope you understand. Hope I wasn't making the same mistake twice. Hope I could keep this one alive. Hope winter was long enough to figure out how we were going to survive what came after. Outside, the blizzard hit full force. The cabin shook but held. We'd survived day 1. Only had about 150 more to go. 3 weeks passed. We learned each other's rhythms the way you learn a new language. Slow, careful, full of mistakes. Mornings, I'd wake before dawn, start the fire, make coffee strong enough to strip paint. She'd come down exactly 20 minutes later, hair already braided, ready to work. Never complained, never asked for easier tasks. Just learned. I taught her to split wood. Aim for the crack, not the wood itself. Let the axe do the work. Her first swing nearly took off her foot. By week 2, she could split kindling faster than me. She taught me to read better. Turned out I'd been stumbling over words for 20 years, too proud to admit I'd only had 6 months of schooling. She'd pull out her father's books, Homer, Virgil, things I couldn't pronounce, and make me sound out sentences until they made sense. You know how to survive, she said one night. I know words. Fair trade. We learned the quiet, too. How you could sit at a table for an hour and not need to fill the silence with noise. How comfortable that could be once you stopped fighting it. I learned she hummed when she cooked. She learned I talked to the horses like they were people. We learned we could share a life without sharing a bed, and that was all right for now, maybe forever. Neither of us was sure yet. Then December 3rd came, and everything changed. False thaw. Temperature rose just enough to soften the snow, make travel possible again. I should have known that was dangerous. Nature giving us hope right before snatching it back. Marge was checking the chickens when I heard the horses. 3 riders coming up the trail, moving slow and deliberate. I recognized the lead horse before I saw the man on it. Expensive Arabian, black as sin. Only one man in the territory rode a horse like that. Oswin Blackthorn. I grabbed my rifle, moved to the porch, caught Marge's eye across the yard, shook my head once. She froze by the chicken coop. They stopped 20 yards out. Blackthorn in the middle, flanked by 2 men I recognized from town. Caleb Stone on the left, hired gun, killed 12 men that anyone knew about. Dutch Warner on the right, enforcer, missing 2 fingers from a deal gone bad. Blackthorn didn't dismount. Insult through dominance. Staying on horseback meant he was looking down at us, meant he thought he was in charge. Mrs. Granger. His voice was pleasant, almost friendly. That's what made it worse. How lovely to see you've adapted to rustic living. Chickens suit you. Very pastoral. State your business, Blackthorn. I kept my rifle casual on my shoulder. Wasn't aiming yet. Didn't need to. You're on my land. Am I? He smiled. Funny thing about land ownership in the territories, Morrison. It's also impermanent. Paperwork gets lost. Survey lines move. Honest men find themselves squatting on property that belongs to others. I got a deed filed with the territorial government. Been here 11 years. 10 years, 7 months, Blackthorn corrected. I checked. And here's another funny thing. Your deed shows this property as 160 acres, but my surveyors measured 162. You're occupying 2 acres that belong to Blackthorn Lumber Company. Have been for a decade. That's trespassing. My jaw tightened. 2 acres. Plus compound interest. Plus damages for timber removal. Plus compensation for lost mineral rights. He pulled a paper from his coat. Comes to about $8,000. Call it an even 10, considering inflation. Marge stepped forward before I could stop her. Walked right up to where Blackthorn sat on that horse, looked up at him with no fear in her eyes. I'm not for sale, Mr. Blackthorn. Not now, not in spring, not for 10,000 or 10 million. And this land, it's our home. We won't be leaving. Blackthorn's smile vanished. Mrs. Granger, I wasn't making an offer. I was delivering a legal notice. By spring, the territorial marshal will evict you both. This cabin, he looked at it like it was garbage, will be dismantled for scrap, and you'll be free to find employment. I hear Denver's always looking for washerwomen. That's when Caleb Stone's hand drifted toward his pistol. Didn't think. Just shifted my weight, brought the rifle down into ready position. Not aiming, didn't have to. At this range, I could put a bullet through his eye before he cleared leather. Caleb, I said quiet. That horse you're sitting, she's got a nervous twitch in her left haunch. One loud noise, she'll throw you straight into that snowbank. Might break your neck. Might just embarrass you. Either way, your boss rides home alone explaining how he got you killed over 2 acres. Stone's hand froze. His horse did twitch. I'd been watching it. Wasn't lying about that. And Dutch, I continued, still not raising my voice. You're fast with a knife. I seen you work. But rifles beat knives at 20 yards. Every single time. You really want to test that mathematics today? Silence. Just whined in the creak of saddle leather as Warner shifted. Blackthorn's jaw clenched so hard I could see the muscle jump. This isn't over, Morrison. It is for today. Ride out. Don't come back till snow melts. Then we'll talk property lines with lawyers present. Legal and proper. Legal and proper. Blackthorn laughed, bitter, sharp. You think law applies up here? You think anyone cares about a squatter and his bought bride? Marge stepped closer to me, close enough I could feel her shoulder brush mine. My husband might be too polite to say it plain, she said, voice steady as bedrock. So I will. You come back here before spring, Mr. Blackthorn. We'll bury you where even the wolves can't find you. That's not a threat. It's a promise from a woman who's got nothing left to lose. Blackthorn stared at her for a long moment. Then he turned his horse. Morrison, he said without looking back. You saved 16 lives from that avalanche last winter. Very heroic, very admirable. But heroes die too, usually protecting someone they love. He spurred his horse. The three of them rode down the mountain, disappearing into the tree line. Marge's hand found mine. She was shaking like a leaf. "Did I just threaten a man?" she whispered. "You threatened to bury a man on our 3rd week of marriage. Is that bad?" I looked down at her. She had snow in her hair and fear in her eyes and had just stared down 3 armed men without flinching. "That's mountain woman good," I said. She almost smiled. Then the shaking got worse. I took the rifle from her hands. She'd grabbed it at some point without even noticing and led her inside. We didn't talk about it, just sat at the table drinking coffee until her hands stopped shaking. That night, I heard her pacing in her room, heard her crying, trying to be quiet about it, wanted to go down there, tell her it was all right to be scared. But some things people need to work through alone. Next morning, Sheriff Dan Coogan showed up on snowshoes. Took him 6 hours to get up the mountain. His face told me everything before he opened his mouth. He nailed a paper to my door, official seal, territorial court emblem. "Silas, I'm sorry. Blackthorn filed an emergency writ in Denver. Claims you're harboring stolen property, lumber from his mills for that barn extension last year. Says he's got receipts and witnesses." I paid cash for that lumber. To Jack Ridley, his foreman. "You got a receipt?" I didn't. Mountain men don't keep receipts. We shake hands and give our word. Coogan looked miserable. "They're sending a marshal. Come spring thaw. Maybe he's a good man, maybe not. But Silas," he dropped his voice, "Blackthorn's got friends in Denver. Real friends. The kind that make problems disappear." "What kind of problems?" Coogan glanced at Marge through the window. "The kind that leave widows." He left. The paper stayed nailed to my door. Legal notice. Court summons. April 15th. The day spring would arrive. The day our protection would melt away like snow. Marge stood beside me, reading the notice. "What does it mean?" "Means we got 4 months." I touched the seal. 4 months to figure out how to fight a man who owns half the territory and most of the law. She took my hand. "Then we'd better start figuring." Inside the cabin, Mary's cradle sat empty in the corner. Outside, winter held us safe. For now. Late December. Days so short you could miss them if you blinked. Nights so long they felt like they'd never end. We fell into harder work, chopping extra firewood like we were building a fortress out of split logs, checking and rechecking supplies. I taught Marge to shoot, started with the rifle, moved to the pistol. She was a natural. Steady hands, good eye, no hesitation once she committed. "Breathe out slow," I'd say, standing behind her in the snow. "Squeeze, don't pull," the crack of gunfire echoing off the mountains. Her hitting the target more often than not. "You're a quick study." Motivation's a powerful teacher. But there was tension neither of us talked about. Someone in town was feeding Blackthorn information. Had to be. He knew too much. When I'd built the barn, what lumber I'd used, which foreman I'd dealt with, someone was watching, someone was talking. I suspected Elwood Pike, my old war buddy from Shiloh, man who'd saved my life and I'd saved his. He'd been coming around more often, asking questions that felt wrong. "Where'd Marge come from originally?" he'd asked last week. "Who'd her father owe money to? You sure this marriage is legal?" The questions gnawed at me, made me wonder if 20 years of friendship meant nothing when money got involved. Blackthorn had deep pockets. Maybe Woody's pockets weren't deep enough to resist. Then one night, I found him in the barn, not doing anything, just standing there in the dark, holding our marriage certificate. Lantern light making his face look guilty. "What are you doing, Woody?" He jumped like I'd shot him. "Silas, I was just..." "Just what? Checking if my marriage is real so Blackthorn can invalidate it?" My hand went to my belt knife. Didn't draw it. Didn't need to. "How much is he paying you?" Woody's face went hard. "You think I'm working for that son of a bitch?" "What else am I supposed to think? You're sneaking around asking questions." "I'm trying to protect you, you stubborn fool." He threw the certificate on a hay bale. "I ain't checking if the marriage is legal. I'm checking if she's gonna break you worse than you're already broken." I stopped. "What?" "Silas." Woody's voice cracked. "You ain't been right since Mary died. I pulled you back from the edge twice. Once after she passed, once after you tried to drink yourself into the grave with her. Now you got this woman, this stranger, and I needed to know, is she here 'cause she chose you? Or 'cause she had no choice? The anger drained out of me like water from a cracked bucket. Woody, I lost my sister to a bad man, he continued. Her husband beat her till she couldn't stand up, kept smiling in public, dying in private. I didn't see it till it was too late. So yeah, I've been watching Marge, making sure she's safe, making sure you're safe, making sure this ain't gonna end with me burying another friend. Shame hit me like a fist. I thought, I know what you thought. He picked up the certificate, handed it to me. And I don't blame you for thinking it. Blackthorn's got half the territory bought and paid for. But not me, not ever. He pulled out more papers from his coat, legal documents, thick and official. This here, it's a deed transfer. I'm putting my name on this land too. Joint ownership. Federal homestead rights from my war service. Means if Blackthorn tries his legal tricks, he's gotta fight a Union veteran with congressional protections. I bought you time. I stared at the papers. Woody, you can't. This is your land claim, your future. My future's making sure my brother survives the winter. He gripped my shoulder. We're Shiloh brothers, Silas. That don't end just 'cause the war did. I couldn't speak. Just pulled him into an embrace, two old soldiers holding on tight. That's when we heard it. Dogs barking. Not mine. They were in the cabin with Marge. These were hunting dogs. Coming fast. Someone's coming, Woody said. We moved quick, grabbed weapons, doused the lantern, watched through cracks in the barn wall. 4 men, torches, moving up the trail toward the cabin. Then I saw him, small figure stumbling through snow ahead of the dogs, child-sized, running like death was chasing him. Because it was. The boy hit our fence, collapsed, dogs 20 yards behind. I didn't think, just ran, scooped him up. His lips were blue, fingers black with frostbite. He was wearing a coat with a stamp on it. Blackthorn Lumber Company. Marge threw open the cabin door. Inside, now! We got him in, barred the door. The dogs hit our fence but didn't cross, trained to track, not attack. The men stopped at our property line. I recognized one, Caleb Stone. Morrison! Stone's voice carried across the snow. That boy's property of Blackthorn Lumber. You're harboring stolen goods. He's a child. He's a runaway. Boss wants him back. The boy stirred in Marge's arms, opened his eyes, looked at me with pure terror, then did something that made my blood run cold. He pointed to his ears, shook his head. Deaf. He was deaf. Couldn't hear the men shouting. Couldn't hear the dogs. Couldn't hear anything. Marge's hands moved in gestures I didn't recognize. The boy's eyes went wide. He gestured back, fast, desperate. You know sign language? I asked. Missionary taught me when I was young. He's saying... She paused, face going white. He's saying he saw Blackthorn kill a man, beat him to death with Caleb Stone. 2 weeks ago. Union organizer named Samuel Oates. Dead boys tell no tales, Woody whispered. Outside, Stone called again. You got till morning, Morrison. Boy comes out, or we burn you out. They left. But we all knew they'd be back. The boy, he couldn't have been more than 9, clung to Marge like she was salvation itself. She held him, rocking slowly, singing something wordless. We can't give him up, she said. We give him up, they kill him, I agreed. We keep him, they kill us all. Woody checked his rifle. Not much of a choice. Then we don't choose. I started packing supplies. We leave. Now, I got a backup shelter, ice cave, 2 miles up ridge. They won't find it. We wait them out. We moved fast. Blankets, food, weapons, ammunition. Left the cabin dark, made it look abandoned. Then slipped out the back, into the forest. Behind us, torches appeared at the tree line. Men searching the cabin, breaking windows, looking for the boy they'd never find. We reached the cave as dawn broke. Natural shelter, hidden behind a frozen waterfall. Inside, the boy finally slept, exhausted beyond fear. What's his name? I asked Marge. She signed to him gently. He signed back in his sleep. Muscle memory. Clyde, she whispered. His name is Clyde Pike. Woody went pale. Pike, that's my... He stopped, stared at the boy. My brother's son. My brother don't even know the boy exists. The mother died in childbirth. I've been raising him quiet like. Didn't want to burden... His voice broke. Didn't want to burden anyone with a deaf child. He's a witness, I said. A witness who can identify a murderer. That's why they're hunting him. Not 'cause he ran from labor. 'Cause he saw. Marge held Clyde tighter. Then we protect him, whatever it takes. Through the cave entrance, we watched smoke rise from the valley. Our cabin? Hard to say. Everything we'd built, everything we'd fought for, maybe burning right now. But we had each other, and the boy, and the truth. Sometimes that's enough. Had to be. 3 days in the cave felt like 3 years. We learned Clyde's story through pictures he drew in the dirt. Stick figures, simple but clear. A man with a mustache, Blackthorn. Another man with no fingers, Dutch Warner. A third man falling, Blood. Samuel Oates. Union organizer trying to get better conditions for the lumber workers. Blackthorn and Stone beat him to death behind the mill. Didn't know a deaf boy was watching from the rafters, invisible as always. Clyde had been running ever since. 2 weeks in the snow, eating bark, drinking from streams, moving at night, somehow surviving. Kids tougher than most men I served with, Woody said. Marge taught us both more sign language, basic words, help, safe, family. That last one made Clyde's eyes water. He signed it back over and over. Family, family, family. Like he was testing if the word would disappear. Nights we'd huddle for warmth. Not romantic, pure survival. The boy between us, Marge's hand on his back, mine on hers. Not touching each other exactly, just connected through him. This feel like family to you? Marge whispered one night. Starting to, I admitted. I told you I can't have children, back in town, remember? I remember. Doctor said my insides were wrong. Miscarriage when I was 16. Tore something essential. Her voice was flat, matter of fact. Reporting damage. That's why no man wanted me. Damaged goods. I was quiet for a long time. Clyde's breathing steady between us. Mary and the baby died together, I finally said. For 10 years I thought maybe it was my fault. Wrong bloodline. Cursed somehow. Maybe I was poison. I paused. You think you're damaged? I think I kill everything I love. So I reckon we're even. Her hand found mine in the dark. Squeezed. Maybe broken people fit together better, she said. Less sharp edges. Maybe. Fourth morning, we heard footsteps outside the cave. I grabbed my rifle. Marge pulled Clyde behind her. Silas Morrison Granger. A voice I knew. Judge Harrison. I stepped out carefully. The judge stood there on snowshoes, Woody beside him, looking relieved. I got him, Woody explained. Figured we needed law on our side. Judge Harrison looked tired. Older than I remembered. I'm invoking mountain law, Silas. Sir, old territorial statute. When winter makes the courts unreachable, local judges have full authority. No appeals till spring. He pulled out papers. Your marriage debt, frozen until April. The kidnapping charge Blackthorn filed, dismissed. The boy came willingly, that's obvious. And as for the murder witness, he looked at Clyde. That boy needs to testify come spring. But until then, he's under my protection, yours too. And if anyone tries to harm him, the judge's voice went hard. They'll answer to me. Why? I had to ask. Why risk this for us? 3 winters back, my granddaughter got lost in a storm. 11 years old. Would have died if not for you. You found her, carried her 6 miles through a blizzard, saved her life. He met my eyes. I pay my debts. So does this mountain. Hope. Fragile as new ice, but hope. There's a condition, the judge continued. You two, you survive this winter together. The debt's forgiven. The marriage stands on its own merit. But if you fail, if you abandon each other or the boy, prison waits. For both of you. We won't fail, Marge said. See that you don't. Because Blackthorn's already hiring lawyers for April. Federal marshals coming with them. Man named Pike. He glanced at Woody. Your brother, I believe. He doesn't know about Clyde. Doesn't know he's got a son. That's going to complicate things. Woody's face crumbled. How do I tell him? How do I explain 9 years of... You'll find the words when the time comes. Judge Harrison turned to leave, then stopped. One more thing. Your cabin's still standing. Blackthorn's men searched it, made a mess, but didn't burn it. Apparently arson's a step too far even for him. Small mercies, I muttered. We returned to the cabin that afternoon. Found it ransacked but intact. Furniture overturned. Supplies scattered. Mary's plates smashed on the floor. But her cradle, the one I'd carved for our lost son, was untouched. They'd left it alone. Marge knelt beside it, ran her hand over the smooth wood. May I? She asked quietly. It's yours now. Everything here is. She dusted it clean, found blankets, made it soft. That night, Clyde slept in it for the first time in 10 years. A little big for it, but he curled up small, needing the security of walls. It was meant to be filled, I said, watching him sleep. Now it is. Marge took my hand. Just took longer than you planned. We stood there, husband and wife in truth now, not just paper, watching a deaf boy sleep in a cradle built for a son who never drew breath. Family. Strange and broken and perfect. Then Marge stiffened. Silas, look. Through the window, smoke rising from the valley. Not our cabin. My old trapper's cabin. The one where I'd stored 10 years of furs. Everything I owned beyond this land. Burning. Message from Blackthorn, I said flatly. What's the message? That winter only protects us till spring. After that, I couldn't finish. But Marge did. After that, we fight. Dawn next morning, Clyde was gone, his bed empty. Front door unlatched, snow outside showing small footprints heading toward the valley, toward Blackthorn's lumber camp. On his pillow, a note in child's handwriting. I go back. They stop hurt you. I tell truth. Clyde. Marge's scream woke the mountain. We ran, following those small tracks through the snow. 2 hours behind him, knowing every minute counted, knowing we might already be too late, knowing that a 9-year-old boy was walking toward the men who'd killed his mother's love, walking toward his own execution, to save us. We tracked Clyde for 2 hours through snow that kept falling, kept trying to erase his trail. Small boot prints. So damned small. He's heading straight for the lumber camp, Woody said, reading the signs I was too panicked to see clearly. We'll get there first. Cut him off. But we didn't. By the time we reached the camp, 40 workers were already gathered in the yard, and standing in the center, looking like he'd won a prize at the county fair, was Oswin Blackthorn. With Clyde beside him, the boy's hands bound with rope. Morrison! Blackthorn's voice carried across the frozen morning. Mrs. Morrison, how good of you to join us. And Woody, didn't expect to see you here. But then, family does complicate things, doesn't it? Sheriff Coogan stood off to the side, looking miserable. His hand rested on his gun belt, but his face said he didn't want to use it. Let the boy go, Blackthorn. I kept my rifle lowered, for now. He's done nothing. Done nothing? Blackthorn laughed. This boy is a thief, stole property from my lumber camp, ran away with tools, supplies. That's theft, and harboring a thief, that's a crime too, Morrison. He's 9 years old enough to steal, old enough to face consequences. Clyde looked at me, signed something desperate. Marge translated, her voice shaking. He's saying he came back on his own. He's surrendering. He wants them to leave us alone. How touching. Blackthorn pulled out papers, official-looking, heavy with seals. But there's more. Sheriff Coogan has a warrant. Not for the boy. For you, Silas. My blood went cold. What charge? Theft of lumber from Blackthorn Lumber Company. Value, $800. I have receipts. Witness statements. Physical evidence. That barn of yours has our proprietary stamp on every third board. I paid cash for that lumber. To Jack Ridley, your foreman. You know that. Do I? Blackthorne smiled. Jack, come here, please. Jack Ridley stepped forward from the crowd. Man I'd known for 5 years. Man whose daughter I'd helped when she got pneumonia. Man I'd trusted. Jack, Sheriff Coogan said formally, did Silas Morrison pay for lumber from your mill in June of 1875? Ridley wouldn't meet my eyes. No, sir, he did not. The words hit like bullets. Jack, you lying son of a... I started forward. Silas, don't. Coogan's hand went to his gun. Please, don't make this harder. Did he threaten you? I demanded, staring at Ridley. Threaten your daughter? Your job? What did he pay you to lie? Ridley's face twitched. Shame there, but also fear. I'm telling the truth. You never paid. Liar, Marge shouted. She tried to run forward. Woody caught her. The evidence is clear. Blackthorne nodded to Coogan. Sheriff, do your duty. Coogan walked toward me like a man heading to his own funeral. Silas Morrison Granger, I'm arresting you for theft of property valued over $500. I'm sorry, I truly am. The chains came out. Cold iron. Heavy. Humiliating. They locked around my wrists with a sound like prison doors closing, like coffin lids dropping, like the end of everything. This is insane, Marge screamed. He's never stolen anything in his life. Everyone knows that. What everyone knows and what can be proven in court are different things, Mrs. Morrison. Blackthorne's voice was oil smooth. Your husband will have his day in court. Justice will be served. They started walking me back toward town. 3-mile walk, in chains, through the lumber camp where 40 workers watched in silence. Some looked away, couldn't meet my eyes. Ashamed, but too scared to speak up. Some stared, curious and cold. Entertainment, spectacle, a very few, looked angry. Mrs. Kowalski, the Polish woman whose husband I'd saved 2 winters back. She stepped forward. You helped my husband. Storm 2 years ago. You don't forget. I don't forget. She spat at Sheriff Coogan's feet. Martha, don't, Coogan warned. She walked away. One person, one voice, better than nothing. But not enough to stop this. The walk into town felt like it took years. Every step, the chains cut deeper. Not just my wrists, my pride, my dignity, my sense of self. I'd never stolen anything, never cheated anyone, built everything I had with my own hands, my own sweat, my own blood, and now I was a thief, criminal, less than nothing in the eyes of the law. Town came out to watch. Always did when someone got arrested. Human nature. We like watching people fall. Children pointed. Women whispered behind hands. Men shifted their feet, uncomfortable but not uncomfortable enough to speak up. Through it all, Marge walked beside me. They hadn't arrested her. Didn't need to. But she wouldn't leave. Marge, go home, I said quietly. No. Please, you don't need to see this. I'm your wife. Where you go, I go. You can leave. Marriage was a legal arrangement. Debts frozen. Judge said so. You're not bound to a criminal. She grabbed my chained hands, held them tight. You think I came up that mountain because I had to? You think I stayed through 3 weeks of learning to split wood and gut fish because of debt? Marge. Silas Granger, you're the stubbornest, most pig-headed, self-pitying man I've ever met. Her voice cracked. You're also the kindest. You gave me choice when no one else would. You gave that boy shelter when it would have been easier to turn him away, and I'll be damned if I abandon you now. They put me in a cell. 8 by 8 feet. Stone walls. One window frozen shut. Straw pallet that was wet and half frozen. Bucket in the corner for waste. Candle stub, 1, for light. This was where I'd live until trial. Sheriff let Marge visit for 10 minutes. She brought clean clothes, bread, coffee still warm, wrapped in cloth. I couldn't look at her. I've ruined you, I said to the floor. Everything I touch dies or gets destroyed. Mary, the baby, now you. Stop it. You should leave. Go back east. Start over. I'll sign papers. Stop it. She sat on the floor beside me, no chair provided. You think I'm afraid of Blackthorn? Silas, I faced death in that courthouse when they auctioned me off. Everything since has been borrowed time. I'm not afraid of him. And I'm not leaving you. What if I can't protect you? Then we'll fail together. But at least we're together. Sheriff Coogan knocked on the door. Time's up, Mrs. Granger. She stood, touched my face. You're a fighter, Silas. So fight. For me. For Clyde. For us. Then she was gone. Alone in that cell, I stared at the dying candle, watched shadows flicker on stone walls, felt the cold seeping through my bones. Mary, I whispered. I tried to do right, tried to protect people, tried to build something good. And here I am, chained like an animal. Everything gone. The candle flickered, almost out. I brought another woman into your house, made promises I can't keep, got her tangled up in my mess. And that boy, Woody's nephew, he's gonna die because of me. Because I couldn't just walk away. Couldn't just mind my own business. The flame died. Total darkness. In the black, I heard rats, heard my own breathing, heard the sound of my chains when I moved. I don't know how to do this anymore, Mary. Don't know how to keep going when everything falls apart. Don't know how to be strong when I feel this weak. No answer, just cold and dark and the smell of fear. Morning came gray and cruel. Sheriff brought water, bread. Trial's tomorrow, Silas. Dawn. Judge Harrison presiding. Blackthorn's got a territorial prosecutor coming up from Denver. Man named Cornelius Vance. He's good. Real good. Bought and paid for, you mean? Coogan didn't deny it. I tried to stop this. Tried to talk to Blackthorn, to the judge, to anyone who'd listen. But the paperwork's official. The evidence is there. And without a receipt, he trailed off. I know. Through the cell window, I watched the courthouse steps fill with people. Watched Blackthorn arrive in his fancy carriage. Watched his lawyers, 3 of them, file inside with boxes of documents. One man, fighting the law, fighting money, fighting a system designed to crush people like me. I was going to lose, knew it in my bones. But then I saw her, Marge, standing at the back of the crowd, and beside her, small hand in hers, was Clyde. The boy was free. She'd gotten him free somehow, and they were together. Family. Clyde signed something to her. She signed back. Then they both looked at me through the window. Marge's face said one thing: we fight, so I would. Even if it killed me, even if we lost everything, even if this was the last stand of a dead man, we'd fight. Dawn came cold and merciless. They let me wash my face, comb my hair, put on the clean shirt Marge had brought. If I was going down, I'd go down looking like a man, not an animal. The courthouse was packed, biggest crowd since the hanging of Blackjack Morrison 3 years back. No relation, despite the name. Folks loved a good trial. Loved watching someone else's life fall apart. Made them feel better about their own. Judge Harrison sat at his bench, looking older than God and twice as tired. To his right, Cornelius Vance, the territorial prosecutor, 45, sharp as a knife, eyes like a snake evaluating prey. Man who'd won 17 cases in a row. Man who didn't lose. Blackthorn sat in the front row, smiling. Caleb Stone and Dutch Warner flanking him like guard dogs. Marge and Clyde sat in the back, Woody beside them. The boy kept signing to Marge. She kept signing back, her face getting paler with each exchange. Judge Harrison's gavel struck. Territorial Court, Emergency Winter Session. The People versus Silas Morrison Granger. Charge: theft of timber, value $800. How do you plead? Not guilty, Your Honor. Noted. Mr. Vance, present your case. Vance stood, moved like a predator, spoke like one too. Your Honor, the people will demonstrate that the defendant, over 18 months, systematically stole lumber from Blackthorn Lumber Company to construct illegal additions to his property. We have documentation, witness testimony, physical evidence. This is not a case of misunderstanding. This is calculated theft from an honest businessman. He called Jack Ridley first. Jack took the stand, wouldn't look at me. Vance walked him through it like a dance they'd rehearsed. Mr. Ridley, in your capacity as foreman, did you sell lumber to Silas Morrison in June 1875? No, sir. Did he ever pay for any lumber? No, sir. Did you see him on the property after hours? 3, maybe 4 times. Thought nothing of it then. Now I understand he was stealing. I tried to speak. That's a damned... Judge Harrison's gavel cracked. Mr. Granger, you'll have your turn. Sit down. Vance presented ledgers next, showed discrepancies in inventory. Between June 1875 and December 1876, Blackthorn Mills recorded losses of 2,400 board feet. My barn required approximately 2,400 board feet. Coincidence, Your Honor? Or theft? Then came the physical evidence. A plank from my barn, company stamp visible, burned into the wood. Proprietary mark, only appeared on Blackthorn lumber. Found on defendant's property. Explanation? My turn finally came. I stood, chains rattling. I bought that lumber. It paid cash to Jack Ridley himself, $700. He gave me a discount because I helped his daughter when she had pneumonia. Sat up with her 3 nights while she fought fever. He was grateful. We shook hands. That's how mountain folk do business. Our word is our bond. Convenient, Vance said. No receipt, no witnesses. Just your word against documented evidence and sworn testimony. My word's been good for 20 years. Ask anyone. Ask Tom Yazzie. Ask Mrs. Kowalski. Ask Sheriff Coogan. Ask the 16 people I've pulled from avalanches and storms. My word is documented in lives saved. Noble sentiment, irrelevant to the charge. Vance turned to the judge. Your Honor, I move for... I have something to say. Marge stood up, voice cutting through the courtroom like a knife. Mrs. Granger, you're not a party to... I'm his wife. I have legal standing under territorial law, and I have evidence. She walked forward, pulled a paper from her coat. Hands shaking, but voice steady. This is a receipt from Blackthorn Lumber Company, dated June 12, 1875, for 2,400 board feet, paid in full, $700, signed by Jack Ridley. The courtroom erupted. Vance snatched the paper, examined it. His face went through shock, confusion, then something that looked like victory. Your Honor, Vance's voice was silk. This receipt is fraudulent. What? Marge gasped. Look at the date stamp. Blackthorn Lumber changed their dating system in August 1875. New code, new format. This receipt claims to be from June but uses the September format. It's a forgery, a clumsy one. Judge Harrison examined the paper. His face fell. Mrs. Granger, where did you get this? I found it in our cabin, in Silas's papers. He kept it because he's honest. Someone planted it, Vance interrupted, or she made it herself. The desperate wife, trying to save her criminal husband by manufacturing evidence. Your Honor, I move to add charges. Conspiracy to defraud the court, perjury. She didn't forge it. The voice came from the back. Everyone turned. Woody Pike stood up, face gray as ash. She didn't forge it. I did. The silence was absolute. Woody, no. I started. I thought I was helping. Woody's voice cracked. Silas is innocent. Everyone knows it. But Blackthorn's got money and lawyers, and I thought if I made the evidence they couldn't ignore, maybe justice would win for once. He looked at me. I'm sorry, brother. I thought I was saving you. Turns out, I just damned us both. Vance pounced like a cat on a mouse. Your Honor, we now have confession of fraud, conspiracy, and perjury. I move for immediate guilty verdict on all charges, plus accessory charges for both Mrs. Granger and Mr. Pike. Judge Harrison looked like he'd aged 20 years in 20 seconds. Mr. Granger, the evidence against you, tainted as its presentation was, is damning. The physical evidence, the stamped boards, is uncontested. Your only defense was a receipt that's now proven false. And your own ally has confessed to forgery in your name. The gavel rose. My heart stopped. Guilty. Sentencing. Territorial prison. 18 months hard labor. Additionally, all property seized to satisfy debt owed to Blackthorn Lumber Company. This includes land, structures, and mineral rights. Pause. The courtroom held its breath. Given the forgery attempt, Mrs. Marjorie Granger, 6 months detention, Elwood Pike, 12 months. Marge's face went white. Woody just closed his eyes. Your Honor, please, I tried. They were trying to help me, punish me, not them. The law doesn't care about intentions, Mr. Granger, only actions. Judge Harrison looked sick. I'm sorry, I truly am, but my hands are tied. Marge walked to me, took my chained hands in hers, crowd watching, Blackthorn smiling, the whole world collapsing. I don't regret it, she whispered. Any of it. Choosing you, staying, fighting. I've ruined you, everything I touch. You gave me life. First time in 28 years I felt alive. Prison can't take that. Clyde broke free from the crowd, ran to us, threw his arms around my legs, signed frantically, No, not fair. I tell truth. Blackthorn stood, addressed the court like he was delivering a sermon. Let this be a lesson. Law applies equally, even to the famous ghost of Granite Ridge, even to war heroes. Steal from honest businessmen, pay the price. He looked directly at me. And now I can finally build what that land was meant for. Progress, civilization, the railroad. You'll have to dig up my wife first. My voice was quiet, deadly. She's buried there, under mountain ash, facing sunrise. You touch her grave, Blackthorn. Law won't save you. Ghost of Granite Ridge isn't a nickname. It's a promise. The threat hung in the air. Sheriff Coogan stepped forward. Let's go, all three of you. They hauled us out. Me, Marge, Woody, chains clanking, crowd parting like we had plague. Some watched, some looked away. Nobody spoke up. We were put in the same cell, too small for three, but nobody cared. Sat on that frozen straw, backs against stone, chains cutting into skin. Silas, I'm sorry. Woody's voice was broken. I know what you thought. You're a fool. I looked at him. But you're my fool. My brother. I pulled him into an embrace. Chains rattling. Two old soldiers holding on. Marge sat apart, staring at her hands. I lost you your home, your land, everything Mary built with you. I knelt before her. You gave me reason to care about losing it. Before you, it was just a place to wait for death. Now it's home because you're in it. She started crying then, not loud, just tears running silent down her face. Through the window, sunset, orange and gold, beautiful and cruel. Then Sheriff Coogan came back, face grim. Silas, there's been a development. What now? Territorial prosecutor found an old statute. Theft over $500 during winter months, when resources are scarce, qualifies as attempted murder, capital offense. The words didn't make sense at first. Then they did. They're changing your sentence. Execution, dawn, 6 hours from now. Marge screamed, raw and primal. Woody cursed, long and creative. I just stared at Coogan. How long I got? Till sunrise. I'm sorry, Silas. I tried everything. Judge's hands are tied. Law's the law. He left. Locked the door. In the cell, Clyde was signing frantically. Marge translated through tears. He's saying he'll tell. He'll testify. He'll save you. Can't, Woody said flatly. Boy's deaf. Can't testify in court. Law requires verbal testimony. There has to be a way, Marge started. There ain't. I cut her off. Gentle, but firm. Sometimes there's no way out. Sometimes you just gotta accept what's coming. I started writing letters by candlelight, to Marge, to Woody, to Clyde, last words from a dead man. Outside, through the window, I could see them building the gallows, hammers echoing in the frozen night, rope being tested, 13 steps. Traditional, 6 hours till dawn, 6 hours till the end. Marge pressed against me, Woody on the other side, Clyde between us all. Family, broken and doomed, and together. If there's a heaven, I whispered, and if Mary's there, I'm gonna have some explaining to do. Marge almost laughed. Almost. Tell her I tried to save you. She'll know. She sees everything. The candle burned lower. The gallows rose higher. And somewhere in the dark, hope died completely. Midnight. 3 hours till dawn. 3 hours till they put a rope around my neck and dropped me through a trap door into nothing. I'd stopped writing letters. What was the point? Just making it harder on everyone. Marge sat beside me, holding my hand, not talking, just being there. Woody paced. 2 steps one way, 2 steps back. Cell too small for a proper pace. Clyde slept finally, exhausted by fear, curled up in the corner like a child, which he was, just a child caught in a grown man's war. Then footsteps, outside the cell, multiple people. Sheriff Coogan appeared, and behind him, Tom Yazzie, the old Ute elder, dressed in traditional clothing, beadwork, feathers, looking like he'd walked out of another century. Tom? I stood. What are you doing here? Stopping an injustice. Tom's voice carried weight, authority. Sheriff Coogan, you are a good man, but you serve bad law. I invoke Treaty Article 7, signed 1863. Ute Nation requests custody of Silas Morrison Granger. Coogan blinked. Tom, what? Article 7. Any person who has rendered life-saving service to tribal members may request sanctuary on tribal land pending federal review. Silas saved 11 Ute lives over 10 years. We claim him under treaty law. From the shadows, Cornelius Vance appeared. Man didn't sleep, apparently. That treaty was voided in 1868 by territorial legislature. Voided by territory, not by Congress. Tom produced papers. Official, heavy with seals. I sent telegraph to Denver. Bureau of Indian Affairs confirms. Federal law supersedes territorial. Treaty stands. Coogan read the papers. His face shifted. Confusion to hope to disbelief. Son of a bitch. It's legitimate. This is absurd, Vance sputtered. The review process could take months. Or years, Tom said calmly. Federal bureaucracy moves like glacier. Very slow, very thorough. By the time they decide, maybe winter is over. Maybe spring comes. Maybe world changes. He looked at me. This buys time. Not freedom, but time. Before I could respond, Judge Harrison burst in, wearing a nightshirt under his coat, hair wild. What in God's name is happening in my courthouse at 1 in the morning? Justice, Your Honor. Tom stepped forward. Real justice. May I present evidence? He produced a pocket watch. Expensive. Engraved. I recognized it immediately. Had seen Blackthorne wearing it a dozen times. Where did you get that? I asked. Clyde signed from the corner. He'd been awake the whole time, pretending to sleep. Marge translated. He took it. The night of the murder. Blackthorne dropped it when he was beating Samuel Oates. Clyde grabbed it as proof. It has blood on it. The victim's blood. Tom turned the watch over. Dark stains visible even in dim light. And this. Woody stepped forward. Produced a ledger. Not lumber records. Payroll. While you were all watching the trial, Woody explained, I broke into Blackthorne's office. Because I'm a fool, but I'm a thorough fool. The ledger showed payments, line by line, each one damning. Caleb Stone, silence fees, $3,000. Jack Ridley, false testimony bonus, $500. Cornelius Vance, legal services, special retainer, $10,000. Judge Harrison read each line. His face went from tired to furious. Mr. Vance, this ledger suggests you were paid by Blackthorne Lumber Company while prosecuting a case on their behalf. That's not just improper, it's criminal. Vance's face drained white. Your Honor, I can explain. You'll explain to a federal investigator. Sheriff, arrest this man. Your Honor, you can't. Vance tried to run. Coogan tackled him, not gentle about it either. Been wanting to do that all night. The cell door opened. Tom gestured. Come, Silas. You're free. For now. We stumbled out, Marge, Woody, me, Clyde, into the courthouse main room, where dawnlight was just starting to show through the windows. We'd made it, somehow, 6 hours of darkness, and we'd survived. Then the courthouse doors burst open. Blackthorn, with Caleb Stone and Dutch Warner, 3 men, 3 guns. This is ridiculous. Blackthorn's voice cracked with rage. You can't overturn a legal verdict based on a stolen watch and fabricated ledger. The ledger isn't fabricated, Judge Harrison said coldly. Your signature is on every page, your seal, your handwriting. You think that matters? Blackthorn pulled his gun, pointed it at Clyde. Not if there's no witness. Everyone froze. You'll have to shoot me first. Marge stepped between the gun and the boy. And me. Mrs. Kowalski appeared from the crowd that had gathered. Dawn trial had brought them out. And me. Tom Yazzie. And all of us. One by one, people stepped forward. 20, 30, 40. Every person I'd saved over 10 years. From avalanches, blizzards, broken legs and frozen creeks and getting lost in storms. They formed a wall, human shield, between Blackthorn's gun and Clyde. Tom spoke. This is the mountain's answer, Mr. Blackthorn. Ghost of Granite Ridge saved these lives. Now they save his. Blackthorn looked around, saw he was beaten, saw that money couldn't buy this, that power couldn't threaten this. He lowered the gun. Sheriff Coogan removed it from his hand. Oswin Blackthorn, you're under arrest for murder, attempted murder, bribery, conspiracy, and about 15 other charges I'm gonna enjoy reading to you. Blackthorn laughed. Broken. Bitter. You think this changes anything? I'll be out in a week. I own half this territory. I have friends in Washington. This is a delay. Nothing more. Judge Harrison stood. Not from my court, and not from federal prison, which is where you're going. Murder of a federal union organizer, that's a federal crime. Federal judges, federal jury, federal rope. The smile died on Blackthorn's face. They led him away. Caleb Stone went quietly, seemed almost relieved it was over. Dutch Warner tried to fight, took 4 men to restrain him. Dawn broke full through the courthouse windows. Gold light. New day, new chance. I stood there, chains finally removed, surrounded by people who'd decided I was worth saving. Marge took my hand. Clyde hugged my leg. Woody clapped my shoulder. We walk out together, Tom said, eyes open, heads high, and we did. Out of that courthouse, into the morning, into whatever came next. Free, for now. 3 days later, spring thaw beginning. Ice on the creek cracking like gunfire. World waking up after months of sleep. We were rebuilding. Silas, Marge, Clyde, Woody. Fixing what Blackthorn's men had damaged. Planting early garden. Teaching Clyde to write his letters. Building something that looked like peace. False peace turned out. Midnight. The dog started barking. Not normal barking, warning barking, danger barking. I grabbed my rifle. Marge loaded the shotgun without being asked. We'd learned that much at least. Stay with Clyde, I told Woody. Like hell. He grabbed his pistol. We're brothers. Brothers fight together. Outside, standing in our clearing, 1 man, torch in one hand, gun in the other, Caleb Stone, alone. Morrison, his voice was rough, desperate. Come out, we got business. I stepped onto the porch. Marge beside me despite my glare. Caleb, Blackthorn's in jail, you're done. He paid me $5,000. Stone was drunk or desperate or both. Said make sure you don't testify at his trial. Dead men don't talk. I already spent half. Owe the other half to men who'll kill me if I don't deliver. So talk to Blackthorn. He can't pay you from prison. You think that matters? Stone laughed. Bitter. Broken. I'm a dead man either way. At least this way, I get to choose how I go. Taking you with me seems fair. He raised his gun. Caleb. I lowered my rifle, set it against the porch rail. You don't want to do this. Don't tell me what I want. You're 40 years old, killed 12 men. You really want a 13th? For money you'll gamble away in a week? What else I got? Stone's voice cracked. No family, no home, no trade but killing. This is all I am. No. I stepped closer, unarmed now. Marge made a sound but didn't stop me. You're also the man who pulled me from a river at Shiloh, 1862. You were a Union medic then, before the war changed you. Stone froze. You remember that? Every day. You saved my life. I married Mary because I lived, built this cabin because I lived, married Marge because I lived, all because you pulled me from that water when you could have left me to drown. I was close now, 10 feet, could see his face clearly in the torchlight. See the pain there, the exhaustion. So I'm asking, Caleb, what happened to that man? The one who saved lives instead of taking them? The torch dropped into the snow, hissed out. The gun lowered. War happened, Stone whispered. Lost everyone. Became this. Became nothing. You ain't nothing. You're a man who saved my life. That counts. That always counts. Stone's gun fell into the snow. He collapsed to his knees. I'm tired, Morrison. So goddamn tired of blood. Tired of running. Tired of being this thing. I knelt beside him, put my hand on his shoulder. Then stop. Choose different. It ain't too late. Prison's waiting for me. Or a rope. Or third option. I helped him up. Work. Redemption. We're planting in spring. Need help. Pays not 5,000. But it's honest. And maybe you remember what that feels like. Woody appeared from the barn, rifle ready. Saw Stone. Saw me with my hand on his shoulder. Caleb Stone. Last I saw you was Fredericksburg. You were still human then. Maybe you can be again. I'll testify against Blackthorne, Stone said. Everything. Murder, bribery, all of it. Then I'm done. Prison or grave? I don't care which. Or stay here, Marge said quietly. She'd come down off the porch. We're building something. Family from strangers. Maybe there's room for one more. Stone looked at us like we were insane. Maybe we were. Why? He asked. Why would you help me after I came here to kill you? Because someone once gave me a chance I didn't deserve, I said. Figure I should pass it along. Dawn came slow. We sat on the porch, all of us, drinking coffee and watching the sun paint the mountains gold. Clyde signed something to Marge. She smiled, translated. He says we're like a broken cup, all pieces that don't fit, but somehow we hold water. Kid's a poet, Woody muttered. That afternoon, wagons started arriving. Tom Yazzie with Ute families, Mrs. Kowalski with Polish immigrants, Sheriff Coogan, even Judge Harrison. What's all this? I asked. Barn raising, Tom said simply. Blackthorne burned your storage barn. We rebuild it. Better than before. They came with lumber, tools, food, came with hands and hearts and the kind of community I'd forgotten existed. By sunset, the barn frame was up. By next day, walls. By the third day, roof. Bigger than the old one. Stronger. Built by 40 hands instead of 2. Jack Ridley showed up on the second day, face full of shame. Silas, I'm sorry. Blackthorne threatened my daughter. Said he'd make sure she never got work in the territory. I had to choose between you and her. I chose your daughter, I finished. I'd have done the same. It's forgotten. He helped raise the walls. Didn't talk much. Didn't need to. On the fourth day, a federal marshal arrived. Older man, gray beard, star on his chest. Silas Morrison Granger, I'm Marshal Samuel Pike, here to escort Oswin Blackthorne to federal trial in Denver. Need your testimony. You'll have it, all of it. The marshal nodded, then pulled out papers. One more thing. Territorial governor issued this full pardon for Elwood Pike's forgery charge and restitution payment for wrongful imprisonment. You, your wife, Mr. Pike, all cleared. He handed me a banknote. $10,000 from Blackthorne's seized assets. Compensation. I stared at it. More money than I'd seen in my life. Blood money, I said. Justice money, the marshal corrected. Use it to build something good. That's the best revenge. We used it to expand the cabin, add rooms, Build a proper schoolhouse on the property, first one in 50 miles. Hired a teacher, made it open to everyone. White, Ute, immigrant, didn't matter. Clyde would learn there, and others like him. Winter ended. Spring came full, and with it, federal trial. Blackthorne was convicted on 14 counts: murder, bribery, conspiracy, fraud. They hanged him in Denver on June 3, 1877. I didn't attend, didn't need to see it. Justice was done. That was enough. Caleb Stone testified against him, then asked for prison. Judge gave him 5 years, came out in 3 for good behavior. When he was released, he came back to Granite Ridge, worked our land till the day he died, 20 years later, a free man in every way that mattered, 1 year after the trial. Spring 1878. I was in the barn when Clyde ran in, 10 years old now, speaking broken words through sheer determination and Marge's patient teaching. Papa, Mama, baby. He grabbed my hand, dragged me toward the cabin. Inside, Marge sat in our bed, face sweaty, exhausted, smiling wider than I'd ever seen. In her arms, a baby, red-faced, screaming, perfect. Silas, she whispered, meet your daughter. But you said, the doctor said, doctors can be wrong, or maybe winter healed what was broken, or maybe God decided we'd earned this. She held out the baby. Her name is Mary Josephine Granger, honoring the past. Celebrating the present. I took my daughter in my arms. First time I'd held a baby since Mary and our son died together 10 years ago. This time, the baby lived. This time, we lived. This time, everything was different. Clyde signed, sister. His first signed word in months. He'd been practicing speaking, neglecting signs. But this word, this one mattered enough to sign. Yes, Marge said. Sister. We stood there. Family. Chosen and born and built from nothing but will and winter and stubborn refusal to give up. Outside, the mountains stood eternal. Inside, new life cried her first cries. And somewhere, I hoped, Mary was smiling. Glad I'd finally let her go. Glad I'd finally come back to life. Thank you, I whispered. To Mary, to Marge, to the mountain, to whatever God or fate had brought us here. For what? Marge asked. For second chances. For broken people fitting together. For teaching me that family isn't about blood. It's about who survives winter with you. She took my hand. We survived, Silas. We all survived. Outside, spring flowers bloomed through the last patches of snow. The school bell rang, children arriving for lessons. Smoke rose from chimneys. Life continued. We'd won, not with guns, not with violence, but with community, with truth, with the simple, stubborn decision to stand together when the world tried to tear us apart. That's the only victory that matters, the only one that lasts. That's the story folks ask me to tell. How the ghost of Granite Ridge found his way back to life. How a forced marriage became the truest love I ever known. How a winter that should have killed us all turned into the season that saved us. I'm 93 now, writing this from the same porch where I first brought Marge home 52 years ago. She's beside me, 81 and still stubborn as a mule. Clyde's running the ranch now, got grandchildren of his own. All of them here just fine, by the way. Funny how things work out. That cradle I carved for my first son, still in use. Great-great-grandchildren sleep in it now. Mary's quilt, patched and repatched, still warming babies on cold nights. The carved horses Marge and I made for each other, sitting on a shelf where the youngest ones can reach them, learning the story of how love can be built from wood and patience and choice. See, I learned something up there in that ice cave, in that jail cell staring at a rope meant for my neck. I learned that justice ain't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's just the way you keep your eyes clear when you look in the mirror, the way you stand when everyone's telling you to kneel. And I learned that family, real family, ain't about blood. It's about who survives winter with you, who stands between you and bullets. Who teaches you to carve horses and split wood and love again when you thought that part of you was buried? Marge taught me that broken people can heal if they fit together right. Clyde taught me that the quietest voices sometimes say the most. Woody taught me that brotherhood outlasts everything. Tom Yazzie taught me that debts get repaid in unexpected ways. Even Caleb Stone taught me that redemption's possible if you're brave enough to reach for it. Sometimes the worst day of your life is the first day of your real life. That courthouse, that blizzard, that was the door opening. We just had to be brave enough to walk through it. If this story touched you, if it reminded you that broken people can heal, that winter ends, that family is choice, then I'm glad. Tell me where you're listening from, what winter you're surviving, what ghost you're choosing to become. And till next time, till the next story, may your dignity carry you through the storms. May your family, chosen or born, stand beside you when the ropes come out. May you remember that ghosts can come back to life if they're loved enough. Winter teaches, family survives, love endures. That's all I know. That's all I need to know.